The employee left silently every night until the millionaire followed her and understood everything. The lights of the Devereaux mansion went out punctually at 10 p.m. This was the time when the servants finished their work and discreetly left the property. But one of them, Camila Navarro, always left through a side gate, without attracting attention, with restrained steps and a low profile. She never accepted a ride. She never spoke to anyone. She just disappeared into the darkness. Through the balcony on the second floor, Liam Devereaux used to watch her in silence, intrigued. She always takes the same route, he muttered to himself. And she always looks back, as if she's running away from something. Liam was 30, young, rich, the direct heir to a fortune built up by luxury hotels, and according to many, destined to take over his parents' empire. But in recent months, his eyes seemed less interested in contracts, and more attentive to the subtle gestures of the maid, who cleaned the library with an almost religious delicacy. That evening, a fine rain was falling on Santa Aurelia, and Camila, as always, was wearing her simple beige coat, with its high collar hiding part of her face. She clutched the strap of her handbag to her body, like someone keeping a secret. Liam walked down the stairs slowly, quietly. He stopped next to Mateo, the family chauffeur, and whispered, "Mateo, take the car, just follow me, don't say anything to anyone." The man hesitated. "Miss Camila, sir?" Liam just nodded. At the side gate, Camila stopped, looked discreetly at both sides of the street, took a deep breath, and disappeared into the rain. Liam got into the car and muttered, "Let's find out where she goes every night." And so, for the first time, someone would dare to cross Camila's silence, without imagining that behind that invisible routine there was a pain kept under lock and key, and a past that could bring down the Devereaux name. The black car drove slowly through the wet streets of Santa Aurelia, keeping a safe distance from the slender figure, who was hurrying along, his hood covering part of his face. The raindrops turned the city lights into blurred, almost ethereal reflections. From the back seat, Liam watched in silence, as if her every step said more than 1,000 words. "Señor, are you sure you want to carry on with this?" asked Mateo, as he slowed down around a corner. "Just drive. She's hiding something, and I need to know what." Camila walked with precision. She didn't seem lost. She knew every street, every shortcut, as if she had been doing this route for a long time. She passed a closed park, a rusty bridge, and an alley where the lights were flashing. For a moment, Liam had the impulse to open the door and call out to her. But something in the way she looked around, attentive, almost frightened, made him pull back. "She doesn't want to be seen, or followed," he whispered to himself. After almost 20 minutes of walking, Camila crossed a narrow railing between two walls and disappeared. Mateo stopped the car. "What do we do?" Liam took a deep breath. "Wait here. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, look for me." He got out of the car, pulled up the hood of his overcoat, and followed the same wet path. Passing through the walls, he found himself in front of an old refurbished shed, with an unlit wooden sign, and dirty windows. Dim lights escaped through the cracks. He approached in silence. From inside, muffled sounds of women's and children's voices echoed. He knelt down in front of a window, and looked in. Inside, Camila had taken off her coat, and was wearing a simple t-shirt, with a paper badge hanging around her neck. She was talking to an older woman who was crying. Next to her, a teenage girl was holding a photo of a small boy. Camila put her hand on the young woman's shoulder, and said firmly, "We'll find him. We never stop looking. He's alive. I know it." Liam recoiled, as if he had been punched in the stomach. "She's helping other women," he muttered, confused. "But why? What does that have to do with her?" He returned to the car, completely mute. Mateo looked in the rearview mirror. "Did you find her?" Liam replied in a whisper, almost inaudible. "I've found something I don't know if I deserve to know." That night, Liam's world began to crumble in silence, and without knowing it, he was about to discover that the secrets of the woman who cleaned his library could burn down the foundations of the family that built his empire. The clock struck 3:42 when Liam finally entered the mansion, his hair wet and his shoes dirty with dirt. For the first time in years, he climbed the stairs without looking at his cell phone. He passed the library, where there was still the discreet scent of lavender, the same one he noticed whenever Camila finished her nightly cleaning there. He sat down in the brown leather armchair and stared into the void. She is someone else when she leaves here, he thought aloud, and I never bothered to ask who she was. The next day, Camila showed up as usual, quiet, punctual, efficient. She was wearing the same uniform, with her hair tied up and her eyes downcast. Liam watched her from the balcony, with a cold coffee in his hands. He waited until she entered the library alone. "Camila," he said, his voice low. She stopped. She hadn't expected him to talk to her, least of all there, outside the formal context. "Senor Liam, do you need anything?" He hesitated. He didn't want to expose her, but he couldn't keep it inside either. "Last night, I saw you." The silence between the two lasted longer than any response. Camila remained motionless. She didn't smile. She showed no surprise. She just lowered her eyes and said, "You shouldn't have followed me. Maybe not. But I needed to understand why someone like you, someone so discreet, disappears every night, as if on the run." She continued in silence, picking up the books from the shelf, as if the conversation wasn't happening. "You help women, children. Why?" Camila stopped. She took a deep breath, and with an almost indifferent tone, she replied, "Because no one helped my sister." Liam stepped forward. "What happened to her?" "She disappeared. 2 years ago. She was 16. She was in one of the neighborhoods where her father built luxury hotels. She disappeared into an alley behind one of them. To this day."
"Oh, nothing."
The answer hit Liam like a blade. "Do you think my father had something to do with it?" Camila looked up. There was fire in them, but a fire contained by layers of pain. "I don't know. But all roads lead back to that night, and that street. And do you know what was there? Days before, a Devereaux family event." She picked up the bucket and turned away, ending the conversation. But Liam knew this was only the beginning. Camila's sentence echoed in Liam's mind like a cursed prayer. All roads lead back to that night, and that street. Liam spent the day restlessly going through old diaries, emails, corporate events, trying to cross-reference dates, places, names. In the late afternoon, he locked himself in his grandfather's old office, where boxes of company documents were stacked, forgotten. He dug out a folder with the inscription, "Opening Hotel Aurelia Gold September." He leafed through reports, invoices, spreadsheets, and there it was. Charity event, September 22nd, at 8 p.m. Entrance only for guests. He closed his eyes. Camila had said, 2 years ago, at night, neighborhood, where her father built luxury hotels. It was the same day. He returned to the mansion with his mind on fire. In the library, he saw Camila cleaning the piano. She didn't look at him, but spoke before he could say anything. "You won't find anything in the papers. Did you look there too?" Camila nodded slightly, without stopping cleaning. "For a while, I was an intern at the Devereaux Corp. headquarters, until they found out my last name. I was fired the same day." Liam swallowed dryly. "Why didn't you tell me?" She laughed, a short, bitter laugh. "Because you were just another Devereaux." He remained silent. For the first time, that surname sounded like an accusation. Later that evening, he went to his mother's room. Marina Devereaux, elegant, impassive, was choosing jewelry for an event. "Mom, do you remember anything unusual about that opening at Aurelia Gold? 2 years ago?" She didn't look at him. "Why do you ask?" "A young woman disappeared that night, near the hotel. Camila, the maid, is her sister." Marina stopped. The coldness in her voice was calculated. "That's the police's problem, not ours." Liam took a step back, confused. "Did you know?" She looked into her son's eyes for a second, then looked away. "Sometimes the less you know, the safer you are." The following night, Liam returned to the shelter, but this time, he entered through the front door. The faded sign was still there, Refugio Esperanza, written in faded ink. When he rang the bell, he was greeted by a woman with attentive eyes and penciled hair. Good evening. Can I help you? He asked with a slight accent. My name is Liam. I came to talk to Camila. The woman didn't reply immediately. She just looked at him with a gaze that measured character, not appearance. Then she pointed inside. She's in the community room. But nobody here is a boss or a visitor. You either come in to listen, or you don't. Liam took a deep breath and nodded. Then I want to listen. He crossed the narrow corridor, smelling weak coffee, soap and old paper. When he entered the room, he saw women sitting in a circle, some with deep circles under their eyes, others with small children sleeping on their laps. And there, in the center, was Camila, out of uniform, wearing a simple t-shirt, her hair loose and her gaze steady. She saw him, but didn't say anything. A woman cried as she told her story. He said I was crazy, that no one would believe me. And when I went to the police, they said that he was an important client of the hotel, that it couldn't be him. Liam sat in silence. Every word was a knife, not against him directly, but against the world he grew up in, a world where important came before fair. After the group, Camila approached without smiling. Did you come out of curiosity? No, I came because I can no longer sleep knowing what I know. She crossed her arms. You still know very little. Then teach me. Camila hesitated. For the first time she saw something in his eyes that wasn't pity or arrogance. Meet me here tomorrow, 19H. But don't come in an imported car, and don't come with the surname Devereaux on your forehead. I promise. She gave a slight nod, and left through the back door. Before disappearing, she said without looking back, if you're going to enter my world, come in one piece. Half won't do. The following evening, Liam arrived at the shelter in dark sneakers, simple jeans and a jacket without a logo. He had left his car 3 blocks earlier, not out of shame, but out of respect. Camila was waiting for him with a battered backpack on her back, and a hood covering part of her face. I thought you weren't coming. I promised I'd come in one piece, he replied. Then get ready. This part of town, there's no boardroom or red carpet. They walked in silence for several blocks, crossing streets where the street lamps flashed, and the graffiti on the walls told stories that no one wanted to write down officially. They arrived at a closed bar, where a thin, bent man was sweeping the sidewalk. Camila approached. Don Vicente, we need to talk to you about the night of the 22nd. The man looked at her, then at Liam, and frowned. Who is he? It's someone who has the power to open doors, and who might want to open their eyes too. Don Vicente took them to the back of the bar, where he kept cases of soft drinks. He closed the door. That night, it was a party for the elite. There was private security, cameras everywhere. But a girl showed up here, scared, asking where the back exit of the hotel was. Camila stiffened. Would you recognize her? Don Vicente pointed to a wall where, among old photos, there was a blurry image of a street party. In the background was a young woman with a side braid and a light jacket. Sophia. Camila leaned against the wall to avoid falling. Liam instinctively grabbed her arm. She didn't pull away. Don Vicente continued. She left on her own. But a few minutes later, I saw a black car going in the same direction. It wasn't a cab. It was a good car. Dark glass. I never saw her again. Liam was pale. Do you remember the license plate, or the brand? It was a Luxor 8, an expensive car. I saw one just like it months later, in the parking lot of the Devereaux Corp. headquarters. Liam's heart raced. He knew that car. It was his father's old model. Camila looked at him. Do you still think it's a coincidence? Liam answered with a string in his voice. I don't know what to think, but I need to know the truth. All of it. Camila looked into his eyes for a second. For the first time there was something breaking there. A barrier. Perhaps hatred. Then come with me all the way. Without protecting me. Without trying to hide anyone. He nodded. I promise. The next morning, Liam entered his father's office without knocking. Ignacio Devereaux was on the phone, signing papers. When he saw him, he raised an eyebrow. Oh, good morning, son. Anything urgent? Liam was direct. Did you use Luxor 8 on the opening night of Aurelia Gold? Ignacio put down his pen. He slowly took off his glasses. Why do you want to know that? Because someone saw that car following a young woman that night, Camila's sister. The patriarch's face showed no surprise, nor anger, just the cold weariness of someone who had hoped this conversation would come one day. You're getting into things you don't understand, Liam. Then make me understand. That girl has disappeared, and someone connected to our company was there. Ignacio got up, went to the window and remained silent for a while. Do you remember the name Hector Lucian? Liam frowned. He was operations director for years, until he disappeared off the map. He was in charge of security that night. I fired him weeks later, discreetly. Why? Ignacio turned around. The mask fell for a second. Because he acted on the side. He called in favors. He protected people who should have stayed away from parties. People who shouldn't even be in our hotels. He tarnished the family name. Liam approached. Did you know about Sophia's disappearance? The father hesitated. I heard rumors, but her name never appeared in the reports. And frankly, I thought it was just another sad case, among many. Until now. Liam felt his stomach turn. You covered it up. No, I survived what needed to be done. And if you want to destroy your family's legacy for a maid, do it. But know that there are consequences. Liam left without saying another word. Hours later, he found Camila on the sidewalk of the shelter. She had her arms crossed, waiting. Have you spoken to him? He asked. Moming. It's the name that was missing. Camila remained silent for a few seconds, then whispered.
I know that name.
He was the man who asked girls to discreetly help the guests at parties. Sophia spoke of him with fear, before he disappeared. He stared at her. We'll find him, wherever it is. Camila took a deep breath. For the first time her eyes softened. Are you really willing to lose everything for this? He answered without hesitation. If that's the price of truth, then yes. Camila simply said, so we're in this together. At that moment, there was no kiss, no touch, just a real alliance, forged in pain, courage and the promise of justice.
2 days later, Camila and Liam were standing in front of an old abandoned office building in the suburb of Los Sauces. The place no longer appeared on digital maps. But Clarice Vega, the shelter's director, had mentioned a rumor. They say that Hector Lujan lives there like a ghost. He disappeared from the world, but never from fear. Camila looked at the broken facade. If he's here, it's because he's running away from something. Liam nodded. Or someone. They entered cautiously, climbing creaky stairs. On the 3rd floor, there was a door with chains and an amateur camera attached to the top. Liam knocked hard. Silence. We know who you are, Hector, and we know what you've done, or allowed to be done. The door opened slowly. A thin, unshaven man with red eyes and irregular breathing appeared. He was pale. He didn't look like a villain. He looked like a broken man. If you've come to kill me, just do it. Camila took a step forward. We came for Sofia Navarro. The name was like poison. Hector staggered over to a chair and sat down. Don't say that name here. You know what happened to her, don't you? Insisted Liam. Hector wiped his hands across his face. I didn't touch her. I swear to God. But that night, someone important asked for a discreet escort. Not a professional. A young girl. The order came from above. Camila shivered. And you sent my sister. Hector didn't answer. He just lowered his head. Did you see her afterwards? No. She left the salon with 2 men. One was from the Devereux Council. The other, I don't know. She never came back. Liam clenched his fists. Do you have the names? Hector hesitated. He reached under the table for an old notebook and tore out a yellowed page. Camila picked up the paper with trembling hands. 2 names were written on it. One of them was a shock. Damien L. Devereux, Liam's cousin, his father's right-hand man. In charge of the company's international sector. Camila was breathless. He was family. Hector whispered. I tried to run away, but they found me. They said that if I spoke, there would be no one left. Liam pulled out the paper and put it in his pocket. Now you'll talk, but under protection. Hector looked up.
Will you go against your own family for this? Liam replied firmly. It's not my family that defines who I am. It's my choices. On the way out, Camila looked at him. You know that after that, there's no going back, right? Liam stopped. He moved closer. He didn't touch her, but he looked into her eyes like someone who can't see anyone else. I don't want to go back. That same evening, back at the shelter, Camila and Liam showed Clarice the paper with the names. She held the paper with firm hands, but her eyes showed concern. If this is leaked without legal protection, you won't even have time to defend yourselves. Liam shook his head. I know the system. They hush up complaints before they even get out of the drawer. Camila looked at the paper as if it were burning. That name, Damian. He went to parties. He looked at my sister like someone picking out a piece. She got up and walked around in circles, trying to contain her anger. And all this happened while I was tidying the rooms, serving drinks, cleaning the windows, and nobody saw me. Liam approached, softly. But I see you now, and I won't let anyone erase that story. The next day, Liam returned to the mansion, determined to confront his cousin. But when he entered the study, he found his mother waiting for him. Marina Devereux was sitting with her hands folded, and a cold look on her face. You know you're going too far, Liam. I'm going all the way. She held out a brown envelope. We received this earlier today, anonymous. Liam opened it. Inside were photos of him and Camila entering Hector's building. Another picture showed the two of them talking inside the shelter. And finally, a message written in cut-out letters. Some truths must remain buried before someone ends up with them. Or with you. Liam stared at his mother. Did you send this? Marina stood up calmly. If I had been in charge, I wouldn't have used threats. I'd just remind you that some fights aren't won with justice, but with power. So maybe it's time to change who has the power. She smiled, for the first time in years, with fear in her eyes. Liam left without saying another word. That night, while Camila was closing the gate to the shelter, a black car drove slowly down the street. Dark windows, no license plate visible. She froze. When he entered, Liam was already inside, waiting. They know. She nodded. I saw the car. They know we have the name. Liam held her hand. For the first time. If you want to stop, I understand. Camila looked at him steadily. I've waited 2 years for this moment. If they want to silence me now, let them at least know that I was never alone. And then for the first time, she hugged him. A restrained, painful embrace, full of everything that couldn't be said yet. An embrace that wasn't passion. It was survival. The file with the names, Hector's records, and the images of the event were put together in a dossier. Liam used his name to arrange a meeting with a respected but discreet journalist. The meeting was scheduled for 8 p.m. in an old coffee shop in the city center. Camila arrived early. She was wearing dark jeans and a black blouse. Her hair was tied up. Her posture was firm. Liam arrived a few minutes later with the dossier in a leather briefcase. Are you ready? No, but I'm going to do it anyway. They sat at the back of the room. At 8:02 p.m., the journalist entered. He was alone. No camera, no recorder in sight. My name is Esteban Vargas. I've been told that you have a story that could change everything. Liam handed over the folder. Esteban opened it right then and there. As he read the names, the records of the night of the party, and Hector's confession, his expression changed. If this is true, it's not just an accusation, it's a bomb. It's true, Camila replied firmly, and my sister was erased by those people. Esteban nodded. I'm going to investigate every line, but I have to warn you, this is going to involve dangerous people. You need to be prepared. Before Liam could answer, Camila's cell phone vibrated. An unknown number. She answered it hesitantly. A cold male voice. This is your last chance. Hand in the papers, or the shelter catches fire tonight. She froze. Liam took the cell phone. Who are you? The connection dropped. Without thinking, they took off running. They got into the car and drove through the wet streets towards Refugio Esperanza. As they turned the corner, they saw the flames. People from the neighborhood were already trying to contain the fire. Clarice was screaming, trying to get inside to save documents. Camila got out of the car. The archives, the women's records, they were in there. Liam held her back before she went in. But Camila let go. These women trusted me. She ran inside. Luckily, the fire department arrived a few minutes later. They partially contained the fire. The archives room was hit, but some of the documents were recovered. Camila came out carrying a drenched box, her face smeared with soot. She was crying, with pain, anger and impotence. Liam hugged her. They knew we were going to talk. Camila whispered, her eyes closed. So now we speak up. 2 days later, at 9 p.m., the story aired on the country's most respected channel. La fiesta silenciosa, el imperio devoró, y la desaparición de Sofía Navarro. Camila's face, partially blurred, appeared among images of the burnt-out shelter, records of the party 2 years earlier, and the name of Damián El Devereux, printed in large letters. The reporter narrated. According to documents and testimonies obtained exclusively, the young Sofía Navarro was last seen leaving a closed Devereux Corp event accompanied by 2 men.
One of them, according to witnesses, was a member of the founding family itself. The networks exploded. In the minutes that followed, hashtags such as #Justicia para Sofía and Ac Pamela no está sola were among the most talked about topics in the country. Meanwhile, inside the Devereux mansion, Marina was throwing the remote control against the wall. That boy destroyed everything. Ignacio, in silence, just stared out of the window. He cleared her name, while we pretended she didn't even exist, he muttered. On the other side of town, Camila and Liam were watching the news on an old television, surrounded by the women from the shelter. Some were crying. Others, for the first time, smiled. Clarice walked in with her cell phone in her hand. We've already had over 200 messages from mothers. They say they're going to speak out now. They're not afraid anymore. Camila sat up slowly. She was in shock, but firm. Liam knelt down beside her. You did it. You've given your sister a name again. Camila looked at him. Her eyes were wet, but there was a light in them. She never stopped having a name. What she didn't have was someone to shout for her. Liam held her hand. There are many of us now. Hours later, the police surrounded Damián Devereux's mansion, but he had fled abroad, using false documents. The news caused outrage, but also stirred up international justice. Over the next few days, employees, former employees, mothers, daughters, they all started talking, and at the center of it was Camila Navarro, the woman who for 2 years went out in silence every night, until the whole world heard her. 6 months had passed since the report that changed everything. Damián Devereux had been tracked down in Portugal, arrested while trying to board a plane with false documents. His extradition was underway. Several of the company's former directors are facing charges of cover-up, bribery and abuse of power. The Devereux empire had shrunk. Many hotels lost contracts. Investors abandoned the brand, and Ignacio, who was ill, announced his final retirement. But while one name fell, another rose. Camila Navarro now ran the new Sofía Center, built with public donations and support from international institutions. There, women received shelter, legal support, and above all, a voice. She had become a reference point. But she didn't dress like a celebrity, or speak like a martyr. She was still the same firm, silent, intense. She carried her pain with dignity, and hope with both feet on the ground. One gray afternoon, Liam showed up at the center. He looked different, simple. He was carrying a box of books and folders. They're documents from the old foundation. Maybe you could use something. Camila smiled slightly. You know you don't have to bring me things to justify your presence anymore, right? He smiled too, and replied sweetly, I like having excuses to see you. She looked at him. There was silence between them, but not the silence of doubt. It was the silence of what doesn't need to be said.
Camila took a small picture frame out of her bag. It was the last known photo of Sophia, her and Camila in front of a flower shop. She placed it in the center's reception area, next to a phrase written on a wooden plaque. The truth, when spoken by someone who has been silenced, changes the world. Liam approached, looking at the picture. She'd be proud of you. Camila turned around. Finally, her eyes allowed themselves to soften. And I would have been lost without you. He didn't answer. He just held out his hand. She held it firmly and affectionately. And there, in the middle of the city, that had previously ignored their voices, what they had never dared to name was born. It wasn't a happy ending. It was a new beginning, built by two people who met in the middle of the darkness and chose to be light for each other.